Have you ever faced something so big, so impossible, that it felt like a giant standing in your way? This is the story of a boy who did just that, and won. Fear silenced an entire army, but one voice, one boy, dared to speak and changed history forever. Giants don't always fall because of strength. Sometimes they fall because of faith. Long ago, in the valley of Elah, two armies stood across from each other. On one side, the Israelites, weary and afraid. On the other, the Philistines, bold and confident. And from their camp came a giant named Goliath. He was enormous, clad in bronze armor that gleamed in the sun, his spear like a weaver's beam, his voice thundering across the valley. Day after day, he mocked Israel, shouting, "Send me a man to fight." But no one moved. For 40 days, morning and evening, his challenge echoed, and fear gripped the hearts of Saul's army. Far away in Bethlehem, a young shepherd named David tended his father's sheep. He was the youngest of 8 brothers, small in stature, but strong in faith. His days were spent guiding sheep, playing his harp, and trusting in the Lord. One morning, his father Jesse called him. "Take this food to your brothers at the battlefield," he said. David obeyed, unaware that this errand would change his life forever. When David arrived at the camp, he heard Goliath's voice booming across the valley. He saw the soldiers shrink back in fear, and his heart burned with outrage. "Who is this Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" he asked. His brothers scolded him. "Why have you come here? Go back to your sheep." But David's courage could not be silenced. His words reached King Saul, and David was brought before him. Saul looked at the boy and said, "You are only a child. Goliath has been a warrior since his youth." But David replied with confidence, "The Lord, who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the bear, will rescue me from this Philistine." Saul agreed, though reluctant, and offered David his royal armor. David tried it on, but it was heavy and cumbersome. He shook his head. "I cannot fight with this." Instead, he chose his sling, his staff, and 5 smooth stones from the brook. As David stepped into the valley, Goliath laughed. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" he sneered. He cursed David by his gods, mocking the boy who dared to face him. But David stood firm. "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, whom you have defied. Today the Lord will deliver you into my hands." The armies held their breath as David ran forward. He placed a stone in his sling, whirled it through the air, and released it. The stone flew with speed and struck Goliath squarely in the forehead. The giant staggered, then fell face down to the ground with a mighty crash. Silence filled the valley. Then, with no sword of his own, David took Goliath's massive blade and finished the battle. The Philistines fled in terror, while the Israelites erupted in triumph. King Saul and his soldiers watched in awe. A shepherd boy had defeated a warrior, not by strength or armor, but by faith in God. David returned to his sheep, humble and grateful, knowing the victory was not his own, but the Lord's. And so the story of David and Goliath teaches us that true victory doesn't come from size, weapons, or power. It comes from courage, faith, and trusting in something greater than ourselves. Whatever giant you face, remember, faith can make the impossible possible.
Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's grow together.